I was almost not coming to Hyderabad. Can you beat that? To miss such a wonderful collection of people, human beings making a difference. My 14-year-old sister, we are one of India's very openly foster families, was detected with dengue just before I left. Like a guilty, almost parent, I held her hand and I said, Babu, I'm not going. And she pushed back a little lock of hair from her face and said, Didi, go out there and take up space. Cut to the time when my mother, a young widow, not even 30, moved back into her maternal home, like millions of women do, because we don't have a support system for women when the husband dies or if there is a divorce or separation. Ma came back to live with her parents. She was the only daughter in our South Kolkata home. And I remember burning up with fever, just like my sister, and crying and telling my mother, Ma, please don't leave me and go to school. And my mother pushed back a strand of her curly mop of hair and said, I have to. I have invigilation today. My grandfather, who was a doting father to her, looked at her and called her Pishach, which means in Bengali, like a witch, heartless. I lost my biological father when I was 4 years old to the shadows of mental health. Baba shot himself in his paternal home. We didn't know why. Mental health as a subject, as you must know, is taboo in most Indian families. The vocabulary of death is seldom discussed. When I was growing up, I didn't know what is a father. I didn't know what had happened to my father. Heck, I didn't even know that what my father looks like. I would go to our puja room and there was only one picture of a mustached man with long eyelashes just like me and a pouty mouth. And I would look at that and think, he looks like me. Who is he? In school, the same school where Ma taught, a very posh, very richy rich, a convent school in Kolkata, I was brutally teased for not having a father. And this is how it starts. Who do you look like? Your dad or your mom? I didn't know. What does your father do? Is he a banker? Is he a businessman? I didn't know. Back in that time, there were no single mothers in my class. Today, there are so many single mothers, 13 million single women who are mothers in this country. 23% of households are run by single women. At that time, to avoid being bullied, and because I was so scared that something really bad is going to happen to me, I became a compulsive liar. I lied about my father, his identity, his profession. One day, before my ICSE exam, my maternal uncle blurted out that my father had shot himself, insensitively and cruelly. The trauma of that, I don't think, ever left me. And like most survivor families who are not given the dignity of a closure, I started looking for that validation from my romantic relationships. My first romantic relationship, we were just listening to a very brave woman talk about sexual assault, was one where I was physically assaulted. At 19, and during the course of an argument, my head was taken and smashed into a steering wheel. Again, there was no vocabulary for me to even express this. I grew up also a very fat girl thanks to PCOD, and I had severe body issues. A man loving me, a man validating me, my Prince Charming. I went to the bathroom of my college and put compact powder. And I told my best friend in college, who asked me, hey, what's wrong? Again and again and again, I lied. And I said, I've fallen down. I won a very prestigious scholarship to go to Oxford and study archaeology, which was my dream. But I gave that up and went to Delhi to become a journalist. Like most survivors of trauma, I was looking for love and validation. I guess the missing father figure. And what I did is I jumped into my second relationship, not realizing that it was emotionally explosive and abusive. At 24, and in a telephone booth, I got a message from the man I was going to marry and have kids. It's over, it's done. I don't want anything to do with you. I suffered a near nervous breakdown. What saved me was really my career. I got an offer to become an editor, and I flew all the way from Bangalore, which is where I lived, to Bombay and became one of the country's first lifestyle editors. At 25, when I walked into a newsroom, most of my team were much, much older than me. That power, kept me going. When I turned 40, I decided to celebrate my 40th birthday like a wedding. And that was also the time I wrote my book, Status Single, where I interviewed 3,500 single women. I realized that in this country, marriage and motherhood are the highest validation of women. No matter how successful you are, no matter what strides you have made professionally, parents, society, relatives will keep on hounding you. I wrote this book and we formed a Facebook community which grew by strengths and bounds. In 2021, women from my home state of Kolkata, on the occasion of Vijaya Dashami, said, Shri, we now want to meet. We want to meet on the day when a custom like Shidur Khala divides women on the basis of their marital status. Like an Olympic torch, that flame went around the country, and soon women in Delhi decided to have the first meetup of Status Single on Karwa Chauth, another day when women are divided because of their marital status. Today's Status Single encompasses 6,000 women. I will say it is the greatest love story of my life to today see allies, fathers, brothers, office bosses, colleagues call me up and say, Shri, can my daughter, can my sister, can my colleague come and join your community? I want to end the shame, the stigma, the feeling of being a failure, which is associated with being single. These are the women of my community who are women who have taken brave decisions, be it walking out of dysfunctional marriages, be it starting a career after the demise of their husband, physically challenged women who have, really gone on there to live their own life and dreams, LGBTQI women, trans women like my friend Gauri Sawant, on whom the film Tali has been made, unmarried child-free women. In our community, we don't call anybody child-free. Because the moment we don't call anybody childless. Because the moment you say childless, then those sisters who could not have children, who failed, will be called barren and Baj. I think I've had the privilege of being a mother to many. One of my regrets when my engagement broke up was, oh, I will never have a family. I will never be happy. Will I always be that fat, fatherless, unlucky, unworthy girl who nobody loved? My community has taught me that the definition of love is diverse. I have met adopted mothers. I have met women who have bought sperms from sperm banks accompanied by aging parents and gone through the IVF process. I have met pet mothers. I have met women who have fought custody battles for over 10 years because they believe that their child deserves to be with them. It's really strange that in a couple of weeks, we will celebrate the greatest festival in India, Navratra, Durga Puja in Calcutta. We worship the mother, the goddess in the mother form. But what about the daughters at home? Ask yourself if you have a sister who is unmarried, if you have a daughter who doesn't want to get married, if you have a friend who is in a very bad abusive marriage, what's better? Sticking it out? Following social convention? Just adding a prefix of a Mrs. so that you fit in this heteronormative reality of being complete as a woman? Or standing up, following your professional dreams, being financially empowered, being a nurturer, maybe not having a child of your own, but probably adopting, fostering. There are so many ways to love each other. There are so many ways you can even have children today. It's, I think, been a learning for me as a woman in my own journey as a human being and a woman. The strength that I get from my community is what puts me on this stage today as I speak for 74.1 million single women. Ladies and gentlemen, 74.1 million single women. 39% of India's female population is today single. The last census, which was done in 2001, said it was 51.2 million. From there, we have gone to 74 million. I think I can safely say that we are looking at a future where 100 million women will be single. Now, I'm often asked, are you brainwashing women against marriage? Are you making them anti men? Let me tell you a beautiful story that I just heard from a community member. In an arranged marriage, this girl was married to a man who was gay. The family completely hid that. Just like mental health, the groom's homosexuality was never revealed. When she wanted to break free from that marriage, she was worried about how her family would react. She had a younger brother. And as you know, if there is a divorced older sister, a lot of families don't want to, quote unquote, give their girl to such a family. That young brother, who was just a pass out from a law college, told his Didi, don't worry. The first case that I will ever fight as a lawyer will be your case. I will fight for you. We need allies. We need the men in our lives, the men in our circles, the men in our offices to understand the stigma, the shame, the stereotyping that we go through. We are here because of you, and we want to walk with you, and we are not against a particular sex. Please understand that. And because we've heard so many beautiful stories, a lot of which are about love. Like my dear friend from Murshidabad says, the heart, I believe, is the greatest organ of fire. My mother, with whom I began my journey, she found love at the age of 45. My stepdad, my karmic father, one of the most feminist men I have ever known, gave Ma the courage to break free from the trauma of being the wife of a man who had killed himself, to break free from the trauma of always having people whisper, did she push him to his death? The pain, the grief, which had never found a home in my father's heart. When Ma was 60, she took a decision as a family to foster my little sister, who happens to be the daughter of our house help. Like so many urban women, this little girl and her mother were abandoned. That's my little baby who's recovering now. And Ma told me, as a gift on my 60th birthday and as an educator for the last 4 decades, can we give a great life and a future to this child? Will you look after her like your own daughter? I told my mother, that will be my birthday gift to you, Ma. And I think, fostering Geru has also given me a lot of strength. It's proved to me that blood and biology are not the only, avenue of nurturing someone. So many things have changed, in the prism of womanhood over the years, where my mother used to go to school and feel almost scared somebody will find out that her husband died by suicide. If you notice, I will not use the word committed. With folded hands, I plead to you, never use the word committed when you're talking about suicide. Suicide has been decriminalized. It is a cancer of the mind. That's how today, when I am asked, what happened to your father? I'm not ashamed. On the morning of my 40th birthday, when I danced and took vows to myself, and I had the little children of my friends walk me down the aisle as my birthday maids, I did something which I think was the greatest act of personal heroism. I performed my late father's funeral at a Kolkata monastery, and I think I owed him that last goodbye. I said goodbye to Baba amidst a lot of tears, not forgiving him, but forgiving myself for always feeling that my father had not loved me, my father had abandoned me. And I took strength in my mother's story. I took strength in the story of a woman who was so strong, who didn't hide from society, but had the guts, had the courage to bring up a child all by herself, who had the courage to open her heart when she found love for the second time again, who had the courage to shelter a poor woman and her child and give her name to that family. I realized that so many of us have had such inspiring women icons in our life, mothers, sisters, buas, grandmothers, even people we may have met at work who have inspired us. All I will say is don't look at singlehood as some kind of a curse or a stigma. Today, there are single women all around you, and these are women who have chosen their own life. And like my friend said, the word consent, just before this in her TED talk, consent, like choice, is a synonym of courage. We are women who are daring to live by our own terms. We are women who are choosing to walk out of bad marriages. We are women who are choosing to be aggressively ambitious, restart our careers. We are women who are not afraid to explore our sexuality. We are women who are bringing children into this world without the fear of Baap ka naam or Pitri Rin or Pitri Parichay. That, my dear friend, is a common enemy, which is called patriarchy. And I think in the fight to end misogyny, to end patriarchy, we need all of us to hold hands and walk together. Like I said, as India sends, rockets to space, and we started with the inspirational story, 100 million women in this country are standing up tall and saying, "Apna time aega nahi, apna time abhi hai." And I think in a country where marriage and motherhood are still considered to be the highest validation of women, let's also salute those families, those parents, those siblings, those friends who give us the courage to stand tall and choose dignity over disrespect. Any day, what a woman deserves is not to be worshipped. We don't want to be a goddess in a temple and worshipped. We want equality. We want financial rights. We want emotional safety. We want physical spaces where we can walk at night and not feel that something is under threat. I think put your hands together for those women who have had the courage to live life just the way my mother did as a young widow who told me one day lying under a mosquito net, "Don't ever worry. It'll all happen. Your mother is there." From me to a movement, from my mother to me, this movement, Status Single, is in the name of my mother. And it is in the name of all the mothers of India. And as we gear for the season of the goddess, I salute all you mothers and all you men with mother souls. To single women, to dignity, we walk together with courage, compassion, and respect. Thank you.